Welcome to part 2 of the Sins of Sinister event. Issue number 1, titled Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants. And here we get the answers to what happened to Arakko during Sinister's invasion. Yes, I remember how Arakko died. I remember confronting the Quiet Council. Arakko had changed for the better, Krakoa only for the worse. I wanted to know the reason why. I found out. I escaped only via a psychic failsafe implanted by my fellow Iraqi. We were ready to go to war then and there, but we were advised by cooler heads to wait. We marshaled our forces. We called in our favors. We grew our strength. We were ready for anything. But we weren't ready for everything. Everything at once. They blamed the attack on the Skrulls' propaganda for further conflicts on Sinister's mad horizon. Augmented troops, they claimed, like the Super Skrulls of old. But we know them for what they were, his chimeras. While we planned, so had he. And he left nothing to chance. But we were of Arakko, and so we fought knowing we would lose. Because that is what it is to be of the broken land. Even when the land is broken for all time, now our people are scattered to the winds of space. Or here, and hiding among the asteroids that were once the fertile fields of Arakko. Perhaps if we'd gone against your kind advice, if we'd struck earlier, we have a chance. And with those words, we see the ruler of Arakko herself, the powerful goddess, storm with anger in her eyes as she glares at Destiny with disdain. For it was her cooler head that caused the mutants of Arakko to wait. But despite all that transpired, Destiny stood before her with a sense of arrogance as she tells Storm that she won't kill her today, because she has foreseen it, which is not the right thing to tell someone that your visions had failed in the past. So at that moment, Storm orders her right-hand man John aka IRONFIRE to strike. And strike he did as he plugged a spike into the back of Destiny. Or at least a person who pretended to be Destiny. For this was actually Mystique. Now how did he pull this off? Easy, he could tell because of several key things that gave her away. First, was her body language. Second, was her vocal inflections. And finally, he just never forget a heat signature. So slowly, due to her mealing capabilities, Mystique returned to her feet in order to deliver her message, and what appears to also be a gift. Because she offers a chance for Arakko to live again, as she reveals Sinister's ultimate secrets. Because she goes on to say, Nathaniel Essex has a secret cloning facility dedicated to a secret clone. A clone of Moira MacTaggart. It has the activated mutant gene. The power to reset the timeline to the first moment of her life, should that life end. The clone life began almost 10 years ago, which means if you take out the clone, then they can get a redo to before Sinister activated his plan, which was all Storm needed to hear before she called for her Brotherhood for a mission. Now, who is this Brotherhood of Mutants that stands before the forces of Sinister? Cable the Weapon Master, Cora with the power to boost other mutants' powers, WizKid, a techno-genius, IRONFIRE, Storm right-hand man, and Quick the fastest mutant alive. So, with everyone assembled, the mission was on as they appeared on Moria's island, only to be met by Sinister's Chimera security system. For these chimeras was a cross between maggot and marrow genes, which means every bone in their body was a flesh-eating creature. So with that news, Storm orders the team to split up, leaving Cable, Cora, Mystique, and Quick on the surface to hold them off, as WizKid, IRONFIRE, and herself make their way into the lab. So summoning her control over the elements, Storm used a tornado to dig their way to the lab. But once they got there, they were met once again by chimeras, but this time these chimeras were some that were never seen before, one of which was a living force field in the center of the room. So with a race against the clock, Storm ordered her right-hand man to buy them time and hold back the hordes of chimeras in the room, which he did in spades as he launched attack after attack on the creatures surrounding them. So while IRONFIRE did all he could, WizKid was supposed to be trying to crack the shield, but that was when something unforeseen happened. For on the surface during the battle, we see Mystique glitch out and disappear as we discover that she was just a hologram the whole time. Which takes us back into the lab, where we see WizKid teleport the entire lab force field to an undisclosed location. But before they could celebrate, out of nowhere WizKid stabbed Storm through her back as he changed into Mystique. So as Storm lay bleeding out on the floor, IRONFIRE rushes to her side confused about what just went down, which Mystique answered by saying she was able to trick him because she gave IRONFIRE fake tells for years in order to fool him. And as for the other version of her, that was a hard light hologram perfect down to the thermal signature. So as anger filled him, IRONFIRE went for a death blow on Mystique just for her to teleport away. So in a panic rush, John orders the rest of the team into the lab to conduct an emergency medical evac. So as that transpires, we transition over to the World Farm, where we hear the Mystique is returned with the lab according to plan. So with the Brotherhood doing all the hard work of taking out Sinister's defenses, it gave Mystique the opportunity to strike at the Brotherhood's heart. So with Storm down, the Brotherhood would be unable to retaliate, which is wild because if Storm would have done nothing, then Sinister would have rewound time anyway, because the Quiet Council would have held a vote against him and Sinister would have decided to cut his losses. But at that moment we find out that she wasn't working alone, because another person responded from the shadows, telling Destiny that I know how he thinks. This chaos he unleashed was his idea of a controlled experiment. But only this experiment is no longer in his control, but rather theirs. But before he reveals his identity to the reader, he asked Destiny one question. And that question was why she didn't want to turn back time. Which Destiny replied by saying, in this timeline, her wife Mystique lives, which is a callback to a previous issue where she once said that every timeline with Krakoa ends in Mystique's death. So with that bit of information, we get to reveal that Orbis Stellaris, the Spade Sinister, was Destiny and Mystique's secret partner. So with that said, this issue came to an end.